It started on a quiet Thursday night while my wife was away on a business trip, leaving me alone with our 6-month-old daughter, Sophie. After putting her to sleep in her nursery, I settled downstairs with the baby monitor beside me, expecting an ordinary evening. Around 10:47 p.m., the monitor suddenly alerted me to movement. When I looked at the screen, my blood ran cold. Standing beside Sophie's crib was a small child I had never seen before. I rushed upstairs immediately, but when I entered the nursery, the room was completely empty. Sophie slept peacefully in her crib, and every door and window in the house was locked. Confused, I replayed the recording. The child had clearly been standing there for nearly 20 seconds before vanishing from the frame. I convinced myself it was some kind of camera glitch and tried to forget about it. The next night, the same thing happened. Another motion alert appeared, and once again the child stood beside the crib. This time I could see more details. It looked like a little boy around 6 years old wearing old-fashioned pajamas. When I reviewed the footage afterward, I noticed something even more disturbing. The boy slowly turned his head and appeared to stare directly into the camera before disappearing. Determined to find a logical explanation, I reset the monitor, updated its software, and changed every security setting. For 2 nights, everything seemed normal. Then, my wife, Emily, returned home. One night, Sophie started crying, and Emily went upstairs to check on her. Moments later, I heard a terrified scream from the nursery. When I rushed into the room, Emily was standing frozen beside the crib. She pointed toward the monitor screen mounted on the wall. For a brief second, I saw the same boy standing directly behind her. I spun around instantly, but no one was there. The image vanished as quickly as it had appeared. When Emily described what she had seen, her description matched mine perfectly. The experience frightened us enough to install security cameras throughout the house. A week later, one of the hallway cameras sent a motion alert in the middle of the night. When I opened the live feed, I watched a small child calmly walking down the upstairs hallway towards Sophie's room. Before reaching the nursery door, the figure simply disappeared. The footage was crystal clear and impossible to explain. Concerned for our safety, we contacted the police and showed them the recordings. Although the officers admitted the footage was strange, they found no evidence of a break-in or trespassing. Every entrance remained secured, and there were no signs that anyone had entered the house. We were left with more questions than answers. As the sightings continued, Sophie's behavior began to change. She frequently stared into the same corner of her nursery and laughed as though someone was standing there. Sometimes she would reach out her arms toward the empty space. One afternoon, Emily called me in tears because Sophie had spoken a new word. That word was Danny. Neither of us knew anyone named Danny, but the name felt important. Curious and increasingly desperate for answers, I began researching the history of our house. Eventually, I tracked down the original owners who had lived there decades earlier. When I mentioned the name Danny, both of them immediately became emotional. The couple revealed that their 6-year-old son, Daniel, had died unexpectedly in our house more than 20 years earlier. Even more shocking, he had passed away in the very room that was now Sophie's nursery. When they showed me an old family photograph, my heart nearly stopped. The boy in the picture was identical to the child appearing on our cameras. I returned home and showed Emily the photograph. She recognized him instantly. For the first time, we seriously considered that whatever we were seeing might actually be Daniel. That night, the nursery camera activated again. Daniel appeared beside the crib, but this time he faced the camera and slowly raised his arm, pointing toward the nursery closet before the entire camera system suddenly failed. The next morning, I investigated the closet. Hidden beneath a section of old carpeting, I discovered a small access panel containing a dusty metal box. Inside were childhood drawings, toys, letters, and personal belongings that had once belonged to Daniel. It seemed that his family had hidden the memory box years earlier and forgotten about it. Among the contents was a handwritten note from Daniel. Most of it contained ordinary thoughts from a young child, but one sentence stood out. "If I ever leave, I don't want anyone to forget me." The message was heartbreaking. We contacted Daniel's parents and returned the box. They were overwhelmed with emotion and grateful to have recovered those memories. After the box was returned, the strange activity stopped completely. Weeks passed without a single sighting. We began to believe Daniel had finally found peace. Then, on Halloween night, while Emily and Sophie were away visiting family, every camera in the house activated at once. When I opened the feeds, Daniel appeared in each camera view. He wasn't moving. He was simply standing there, watching. Suddenly, every screen switched to the nursery. Daniel stood beside the crib, looking terrified. Behind him emerged a massive, shadowy figure unlike anything I had ever seen. The dark shape seemed to absorb the camera's night vision itself. As it moved closer to him, the entire system erupted into static before going completely black. When the cameras finally came back online, both Daniel and the shadow were gone. The footage remained saved, and even today I cannot explain what that dark figure was. Strangely, after that night, we no longer feared Daniel. Instead, we feared whatever had been approaching him. Shortly afterward, we made the decision to move away. Several months after relocating to a different state, Sophie drew a picture at preschool showing herself standing beside a little boy. When I asked who he was, she smiled and said, "Danny." Then she casually added that he had said goodbye. That night, while checking the baby monitor, I noticed what looked like a small toy car on the floor. When I entered the room, nothing was there. Looking back at the monitor, I watched the toy car roll forward on its own. For a brief moment, the faint outline of a smiling little boy appeared beside it before fading forever. Years have passed since then, and we have never seen Daniel again. Yet whenever I revisit the old recordings, I notice something unsettling. Daniel was never looking at Sophie, not once. In every single video, his eyes remained fixed on the nursery doorway. It was as if he wasn't watching the baby at all. It was as if he had been standing guard the entire time, protecting her from something that never managed to enter the room. For years, I believed that was the end of it. Then, on Sophie's 16th birthday, I finally decided to delete the old recordings forever. As the files played one last time, something caught my eye. In the very last frame of the Halloween footage, hidden within the static, the shadow figure was still there, standing in the nursery doorway long after Daniel had disappeared. I paused the video and zoomed in. The shape wasn't looking at Daniel. It wasn't looking at Sophie. It was staring directly into the camera, directly at me. Beneath the timestamp, a line of corrupted text flickered across the screen for less than a second. I had never noticed it before. Most of the letters were unreadable, except for 3 words that appeared clearly before the footage ended forever. "I found you."